Okay, Jane, do you have some more readings for us, or should I read something?
You could read something.
All right. So I'm not a poet, unlike Jane, but sometimes I get really mad and I write things down, and usually that happens in the hospital. So this one here is called We're All in Crayon Jail, Volume 1 of What Better Only Be One. Unfortunately, there's two more volumes after that. This came about when one of the fellow inpatients I was hanging out with said, I just overheard from the nurses that we're not actually here to get care. They're just putting us in a container so we don't hurt ourselves or others until something happens and we get to leave. And we all just sort of nodded and said, sounds right. And continued coloring with our crayons because they don't let us have pencil crayons before a certain time in the morning or after a certain time at night because apparently those are dangerous materials. So it reads, this is just a Tupperware for the crazies, and this is just fucking jail with crayons. While we, the psychos, continue to wreak very, very slow havoc. In a conversation, I say, these doors aren't accessible. The doctor, who is keeping me here and did actually make fun of the fact that he gets to go home and I don't, replies, it's to prevent people from hanging themselves in inpatient. And I say, well, they rip off my fingernails. The doctor says, what? And I say, what? Anyway, it's another inpatient stay, which means there's another ballpoint pen to steal somewhere. And you learn not to stand up for yourself in here because it'll just make things worse. Where did this past month go? I don't remember. Shit. Fuck. Anyway, I can't get a single little baby combination Tylenol Advil until the day nurse comes on the shift in an hour, and this is once again literal hell torture. Great hospital you have here, you guys. Mental anguish? Have an Ativan. Physical pain? Go screw yourself until the nurses are done playing charades in hot potato. Thank you. Um, Jane, would you like to talk about some of the lies you've been told by doctors?
Oh, yes. So these are some of the things that I've been told by healthcare professionals. Let me just pull it up. Yes. So, this is a range of healthcare professionals. And also, these things allegedly happened to me. Allegedly, like when you're taking notes, when you're writing this down, just remember allegedly.
Well, you know, we are not reliable witnesses of our own suffering.
No, 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 not at all. Okay, so when referring to the way that I sat, because I'm bisexual, one clinical psychologist said, "Do you think you've experienced childhood sexual abuse?" When I have interacted with her for multiple weeks and never said I experienced childhood sexual abuse. A former family doctor who saw that I was overwhelmed by school and kept asking me about how I am doing in school and made me feel so unheard and uncared for that I started crying. He said, "Do you think you're depressed?" Um, and gynecologist when I was 18, referring to the speculum as smaller than a penis. And these other things that people have said to me that are not from healthcare professionals, but believe that they have the authority of a healthcare um, professional, which kind of indicates just how safe our society is and how brilliantly incisive people are. About judging other people's character. People have said that I am a spoiled brat, and that I should dress like my intellect. And people have also called me aggressive and violent. And also, my favorite, she has BPD and needs help.
It's really interesting because in Vancouver and in the lower mainland, it seems that if you can be perceived as a woman and you're not, you know, the most cooperative, as which means just allow things to happen to you, you get hit with the BPD diagnosis.
I feel so included because no psychiatrist or clinical psychologist or therapist has said that I have BPD. So for this person to say that I have BPD, I feel very included in the BPD club in the lower.
BPD meaning borderline personality disorder. Yes, thank you for clearing that up, Amy. Right. Do you have anything else you'd like to share before I hop onto volume 2?
Not that I can think of at the moment.
All right. Here's the dramatic reading of part 2. Everyone in involuntary inpatient wants a tattoo design. In here, there are patients, and then there are humans. Living in hell is waiting for the pharmacy department to let you have a little baby Advil. And I need a shirt that says, yes, my legs work. No, I do not want to walk again someday, whatever that means, with scare quotes in my hands right now. And nurses love it when you pretend not to feel pain. Why is there always one jock in here whose goal is to leave as quickly as possible and to irritate as many doctors as possible? I support him. Some of these people in here have their third eye taped wide open, all their other eyes taped shut, and allegedly I have 4 rights. And why does everyone keep wanting to talk about my wheelchair? This is not an emotional support wheelchair. Thank you.
Sunny, did you have things that doctors have said to you that you would like to share?
Oh my goodness. Where do I start? So when I was in psychiatric inpatient, I was having a manic episode, and because my thoughts were so disorganized, I wasn't really able to process my thoughts in English because it's my second language. And my first language is Mandarin Chinese. So I was just trying to speak this weird combination of that and English and a little bit of Taiwanese, which is a whole other family of language of Chinese and Mandarin, which is fun. And on the phone to my loved ones, the doctor said, "Can you please get her to stop speaking Cantonese?" And here's the thing, it would be really useful in my interactions in Chinatown if I could speak Cantonese, but turns out I can only speak Cantonese to white doctors who don't speak Cantonese when I am completely out of my mind.
You know, I feel like the doctors at Redacted could hire you because they clearly don't have enough interpreters to
They
get their.
don't.
Yeah,
They
they could
don't.
hire
And, right. And while I was in there, they put me in the hole and I was just having a lot of trouble communicating. And to help me along, they took away my mobility aid, my wheelchair, and they took away my glasses because it's not like I need about 1/3 of my body to function or anything. And this was to help me calm down. Because you know what helps me calm down? When someone steals my fucking wheelchair. Um, anyway, I guess I was just speaking every language under the sun because the doctors didn't understand me and they refused to get me an interpreter because I speak English. And not now, I don't. Now I do. Then I didn't. And it's weird because it's really difficult for us to get like culturally appropriate care. And do you want to speak to like culturally appropriate care?
Yeah. Well, specifically about TCM, traditional
Mm-hmm.
Chinese medicine. Um, Traditional Chinese medicine has been practiced for a very long time, and one of the things that they are recently doing in North America, maybe Canada, is that they are not allowing practitioners to take the tests in Chinese. So they have to take the test in English. And oh, yes, 2,000 years. Uh, and so that excludes many practitioners. And of course, Chinese traditional Chinese medicine is not insured. So a lot of Chinese seniors, a lot of people who benefit from it, both culturally and like bodily, have to pay out of pocket. And so excluding a certain amount of practitioners because of language, like sort of makes it so that the practice can get appropriated and only certain kinds of like privileged practitioners can provide it.
Mhm.
And that is just one way that the system that we're in is incredibly exclusionary and white supremacist. And in addition to not having, I mean, first of all, they're not hiring you. They're not hiring. Why isn't the government hiring you and paying you like at least 100K a year to interpret? Because clearly you are a multilingual expert, health expert, Sunny.
I am?
Yes.
Well, I have been through the medical system about as long as it takes to become a doctor, so that I can get a doctor. Where's my degree, you guys?
Where is it? We need to get that degree to Sunny right now. Yeah.
All right. I think I do want to add that there are a lot of different expectations for how much you need to know to become a Chinese medicine practitioner here and overseas and back home. In Taiwan, which is where I'm from, and where traditional Chinese medicine is actually covered by national health insurance, you have to be a actual medical doctor in order to perform acupuncture. And as I understand, that is not the case here. So that's also something that gets in the way of our communities and our elders accessing treatment. It's that they have difficulty communicating in English, or they can't communicate in English at all, and they might not um, trust these practitioners here because they had to take their test in English first of all, so who knows if they can speak Chinese in practicing medicine. And also the expectations are so different and really not made for us, the people who are attached to that culture.
Yep. I also think that one of the unintended effects of TCM being sidelined and financially inaccessible, and all of the colonial um, underpinnings of it, uh, of of how it's being policed today, creates more disinformation or misinformation about health, such that there may be a certain population of our community who believe in cures or health remedies that are not scientifically sound, because those scientifically sound practices are made unavailable financially and culturally.
Yes, and people, well, people who are prejudiced against cultural medicine, I guess, they say that, like, Chinese medicine does have a history of using mercury and endangered species and seahorses and such, but like, it is medicine, and medicine is not infallible. If we can understand that traditional Chinese medicine has its faults and its places where it's ignorant and places where it doesn't work, we should also believe that of Western medicine. Although I do have to say, for traditional Chinese medicine, there is no equivalent for the Bill C7, so it does have my vote in that arena.
Yeah, yeah. It seems like Western medicine, as practiced in Canada, has a one-way ticket to death. So, and TCM doesn't. So,
So, all right. And I believe Jane would like to read an email from Carolyn from the Ministry of Health.
okay, let me pull up the email real quick. Do, do, do. So to give context, I was very mad that they in the hospital that they did not willingly provide masks, even though, and I was sent this I was sent the policy PDF by a psychiatric nurse that I know, allegedly. Everything I say is allegedly. That states that in all healthcare facilities, masks are to be worn because it is a panini, it is a panoramic, it is a Pandora's box. And let's see. Email wants to verify that it's actually me. And so I emailed one of the people in the one of the people in the Ministry of Health, and this to talk about how this needs to be changed, like whether it's nurses, whether it's patients, the fact that they were reluctant to give people masks is unacceptable. So this is her response. Dear Jane Chi, thank you for your email of February 2nd, 2021, regarding the Ministry of Health mask use policy for healthcare facilities. I appreciate you bringing to my attention your concerns with the implementation of the mask use policy at the redacted. As you have noted, the policy requires patients to wear a medical mask when entering and moving around a healthcare facility. It also outlines that exceptions to the policy may need to be applied for people with certain medical conditions and/or to accommodate site-specific circumstances. This policy exception includes mental health and addictions units. I have reached out to the care team at Redacted and shared your observations regarding the Redacted. I have also confirmed that the site has a greeter stationed at the hospital door who offers medical masks to people entering the hospital. The use of medical masks is also checked by a healthcare worker at the point of care station in the hospital when a patient or visitor arrives. Additionally, the infection prevention and control team at the Redacted has infection control practitioners actively in the units and public areas supporting the provincial requirements around the use of personal protective equipment by all individuals in Redacted facilities. I appreciate the opportunity to respond and hope you find this information helpful. Should you have any further questions, please do not hesitate to contact me at redacted phone number. Sincerely, Carolyn.
Now, I know that is a lie because I experienced about none of that. I remember one day when I had cried all the way through my mask, I went to the nurse's station. I said, "Can I please have another mask?" And they said, "You've been asking for them like every day." And I said, "Well, yes, because I've been crying through them." And they gave me a mask very ceremoniously and they said, "This is the last one." So then I wore that mask for the rest of my hospital stay there.
I think that it is important to note that this happened when Dr. Bonnie Henry was saying that people should be doing more to bend the curve of the pandemic, and I'm just like, what more can people possibly do? And which people in particular do you mean when you say that?
I think they mean that we should pass Bill C7 because people can't get COVID if they're dead.
Oh, why didn't I think of that?
I was wondering if we could do a really quick bilingual teach people how to say things in Mandarin lesson.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So first thing I'm going to teach people to say is 障碍者.
障碍者.
Yes. So 障碍 means obstacles and zhe refers to a person. 障碍者 is someone who faces obstacles or someone who has accessibility needs. And in Taiwan, that is the umbrella term for, people like us who are angry at C7. So that's 障碍者. And then we have 人权.
人权.
Yeah. 人 means people. 权 means power or rights. So 人权 means, human rights. 障碍者的人权 would be the human rights of people facing accessibility issues. For myself, I would be a 障碍者 who uses a 手动轮椅. 手动 means hand operated, and 轮椅 is literally wheelchair. So what I said in Chinese was, I am a person who faces accessibility issues, and I use it is not an analog wheelchair. It's a manual wheelchair. I am very good at language. And 电动轮椅 is an electric powered wheelchair. Is there anything that you would like me to translate while we're here?
What about get me an interpreter?
我需要有人帮我翻译。
我需要有人帮我翻译。
I need 我需要有人 somebody to 帮我翻译 help me translate. It's not very useful to know how to say this though, because no matter how many times you say it, you're not going to get an interpreter. Let's be real, it's not happening.
Yeah, these days they use Google Translate in hospitals, unfortunately.
I have done this in Canadian hospitals and in Taiwanese hospitals, and it is the faster, more reliable way than to wait several hours for someone to never show up.
What about we don't want this eugenics bill?
I don't actually know how to say eugenics in Chinese, but I do know how to say medical assistance in death, which is 安乐死. An as in safe, le as in happy, and 死 as in death. So we could say 我们不想要被逼去安乐死. 我们不想要 is we do not want to. 被逼去 is to be forced to. 安乐死 we do not wish to be forced to choose euthanasia. We do not wish to be forced to accept medical assistance in death.
What about I still have 1,000 more years to live?
我还想要再活1000年.
我还想再活1000年.
We're still working on that. Historically, Qin Shi Huang did not get there. Qin Shi Huang was the first emperor of China. He sought the pill of immortality, and we can conclude that he failed because he is very much dead. So I think we are wrapping up our section soon. We have 7 minutes to go before our next panel. And I believe it will be Heidi who will be hosting. Very exciting stuff. Jane, do you have anything you want to get into?
I have poems.
We got 7 minutes.
Okay, great. Let's see. I guess I could share this poem. Okay, let me just put this in a separate document and then I will screen share. So, I am autistic, and I only recently found out that I was autistic because they don't really diagnose people who are who were assigned female at birth and people who are not white. And so I never really thought that I was autistic because the dominant representation of autistic people is cishet white men. And one of the benefits of self-diagnosis is that it probably doesn't come with the baggage that many psychiatrists or doctors have about autistic people. Unfortunately, in order to get an official diagnosis in BC, you have to pay around like $1,000 to $2,000. And also, apparently, if you want to get an official diagnosis, you have to get your parents to come and share how you were as a kid. And that can be that it's like if you're an adult, you don't need like your parents to speak for you. So as a person who says things that need to be qualified with allegedly a lot, I write things and yeah, it's just like you can't speak for me and my experiences, doctors. Okay, so let's see. Yes. This is the poem that I wrote about being, well, it's basically an erasure poem of the autism spectrum disorder as defined by the American Psychiatric Association's Diagnostic and Statistical Manual 5th edition, which I believe in Canada they use as well. If I'm incorrect, please let me, please correct me if I'm wrong, I mean. So this poem is called History Flipping. She mimics the speaking that might resemble speech, anything at all, bare noise, groan, bits torn from words. Since she hesitates to measure the accuracy, she resorts to mimicking gestures with the mouth. The entire lip would lift upwards, then sink back to its original place. From Teresa Ha-Kyung-cha's dictee. A child restricted by history. Exhaust of affect from nonverbal language. Absence of history. Flipping insistence on food every day. Circumscribed indifference. Excessive fascination with strategies. Global disorder, 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 disorder.
Wow, damn.
Thanks. Yeah, that is my second erasure poem that I'm sharing with you all today.
Thank you for sharing your work with us.
And thank you for being the funniest person.
I'm okay.
Second funniest person.
Thank you. It looks like it's about time for us to wrap up. I see that Catherine's here. Thank you so much for being here and having us again and just letting us say things.
Thank you very much, Jane and Sunny. It was wonderful. There were wonderful, funny parts and wonderful, touching parts. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And big thanks to all of the interpreters helping us out. Big thanks to people on tech and everyone who pulled this together in next to no time at all.
Thank you so much, Sunny and Jane. And we love it when you say things, and because we love to hear what you say. Thank you. We really greatly appreciate all that you've helped, the way that you've helped energize us for what is about to come.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.